Okay, good evening and Shavua Tov. My name is Rabbi Peretz Wolf-Prusan, and I am with Lehrhaus Judaica. I am sitting actually at home in San Francisco. Lehrhaus is based in Berkeley, but we serve the entire Bay Area, and I can prove that because I have two students with me, Ron Sires, who is in Berkeley, and Nadine Levin, who is in Palo Alto.
Hello.
And we're going to be looking today at desire. It's good for you, and looking at some texts. But first, it's really Abby from Hillel International began in the same way, and since we're the last, after Rabbi Steinsaltz and Abby, we are the last presentation for the evening. It's important that we start, I think, with recognition of the events in France. And I want to start with a poem by Yehuda Amichai. So I'm going to take over the screen for a second. Well, I thought there we go. And here's the poem, and we'll pause for a second. The poem is called The Diameter of the Bomb, and it's dedicated to the victims and the extended victims of the events in Paris this week. The diameter of the bomb was 30 centimeters, and the diameter of its effective range about 7 meters, with 4 dead and 11 wounded. And around these, in a larger circle of pain and time, 2 hospitals are scattered, and 1 graveyard. But the woman who was buried in the city she came from, at a distance of more than 100 kilometers, enlarges the circle considerably, and the solitary man mourning her death at the distant shores of a country far across the sea includes the entire world in the circle. And I won't even mention the crying of orphans that reaches up to the throne of God and beyond, making a circle with no end and no God. So you're looking at, as we begin to look at the Talmud, you're looking at a figure called a Roman matron. Some will say that she's actually a Roman matron. There is a tradition in Greco-Roman literature of an erudite, educated, worldly individual who's confronting the status quo of her time. This is not quite to be, might be confused with the matronita, which appears in the Zohar, who has a very similar role and comes from the same source. But we want to start with her and give you, because she appears in our text, and also we want to start with who she's speaking to, Rabbi Yossi ben Chalafta. Yossi ben Chalafta. Let's see now. I've got him right. Okay, so he's a Tana of the 5th century. He was a student of Rabbi Akiva at Usha. He eventually becomes he was a student of Akiva at Usha, and he becomes the teacher of Yehuda HaNasi. So he's a very important figure himself, and he has these encounters with the Roman matron. If you're wondering about Usha, and this is all new to you, it wouldn't be actually absurd to say that it could all be Greek to you, because it's the Greco-Roman period following the destruction of the Temple of Jerusalem in 70 and following the revolt against Hadrian 132. The Jewish people are already a minority in the land of Israel, and Usha is situated in the Galilee. It's where the rabbis have moved from Yavna, heading north, and their next stop will be Beit Sha'arim and Sipori. which is where we're heading. So that is a little bit about, about the Tana of the 5th century, 5th generation, 135 to 170 of the Common Era, Rabbi Yossi ben Bar Chalafta. And here's the story. Rabbi Yossi bar Chalafta was approached by a Roman matron. Here, by the way, that's not exactly what she looked like, but it's really close. She asked him, "You say that your God created the universe. And what has your God been doing since then?" And he responded, "God has been occupied making matches, wedding matches." Rabbi Yossi bar Chalafta replied, "Making matches? Is that all? Why, anyone can do that." And to prove her point, the Roman matron quickly returned home, lined up all her male and female servants, pairing them up and marrying them off. Which, by the way, those of us with unmarried children are tempted to do, but that's besides the point. The following morning, 2 servants knocked on her door, beaten and bruised, and complained, "I do not want the spouse that you assigned to me." This can happen. The Roman matron thereupon summoned Rabbi Yossi bar Chalafta and conceded that matchmaking is indeed a complex task worthy of the creator of the universe. Okay, this is a softball opening. This is a nice tale, but it's the opening of a challenge from the street. Now, by the way, I'd like to make a further dedication. One of the wonderful people I've met in my life was Judith Abrams, who passed away much too young, much too suddenly. And in her book, The Women of the Talmud, she actually asked the question, is the Roman matron really Roman? There's nothing Roman about her, maybe in this case because she owned slaves, but in many other cases she's simply called a Roman matron. And Judith Abrams, of blessed memory, posits that she actually was Jewish and a matron, in other words, a woman of stature, and later on editors reframed her as a Roman matron. We'll let that one sit for a while, but I'd like to honor Judith with that idea. So invisible to us right now is Lily, who does not want to be recognized, but she is the mastermind behind all this effort of the 25 by 24 on the technical side. I'm going to ask her to mysteriously show us the next Roman matron slide, and there she goes. There we go. So here's another story, another Roman matron story. A Roman matron asked Rabbi Yossi bar Chalafta the following question: how can it be that a 17-year-old boy who's been away from his family and all family influence, immersed in the sensuality of Egyptian society, how was it possible for him to be able to withstand this temptation? Our question for tonight is, and you should put your answer in the form of a question. Who is she referring to? And if you want to tweet the answer, you can tweet it at hashtag #AhavaMoment. That's AHAVAH moment, or hashtag Love and Learn, or hashtag Jewish Learning, or it gets simpler, by the way, hashtag Global Day, or my favorite, hashtag 24 by 24. Now there's an X, 24x24. Who is she referring to? Ron or Nadine? Someone help me out here. I'm hanging. What 17-year-old boy is being pursued by an Egyptian? This would be Joseph. Joseph and the wife of Potiphar. And so she's doing a little Torah study and saying, how is it possible that this 17-year-old kid, I don't know if he was 17, but the 17-year-old boy who's been away from his family could resist Potiphar, who's been throwing herself at him. He's also, by the way, described in the Zohar as being very pretty. The answer is, it was that vision of his father in the window telling him, Yosef, in the future your brethren will want to inscribe your name among the stones of the ephod worn by the Kohen Hagadol, together with the names of the other tribes. Do you want to do something that will cause your name to be blotted out from amidst the names of my other sons? Do you want to have the title of the shepherd of prostitutes? When Yosef heard that, he backed off. The fear of losing his connection to his father is what held him back from sinning. That's from Sota 36b. I've often read that to my son before he went to sleep at night. It had a great effect. But this is just another example. By the way, I'm making these comments about my children because I have no confidence that they'll ever see this video, ever. So, in the meantime, we'll find out. There's an interaction between the Roman matron and the rabbis, just as there's an interaction between the rabbis and Elijah, or a messenger from Elijah. They like to have someone to talk to, which is why, of course, Nadine and Ron are here, because I have no idea if anyone else is out there. All right. So now that we have, oh, there's Ron, Mrs. Potiphar. That is true. There we go. He messaged me. Okay. And 7 other viewers. Oh, good. Okay, fine. So now we can move to the actual text. So Lily, do your magic. And no more Roman matron. And here we come. Getting closer, getting closer. Not this one. The other text. If it's Rocky and Bullwinkle.
He wants to English.
Coming, coming, coming. Here it is. There we go. Here it is. Coming, it's coming, it's coming. All right, good. Okay. So this is great. This is good. All right. So we have to do a little bit of background here, and maybe if I hope this is Ron and Nadine. Is this large enough, or should it be a little bit larger?
Probably a little bit larger, I think.
Oh, here we go. It's getting bigger. Whoa! It's nice and big. Okay, good. I think that's great. And you can also you should be able to download the source sheets from the website also. This is Baba Metzia 84, obviously, because it says Baba Metzia 84. This is a text that was prepared by the Olive Society of Adin Steinsaltz for the first years of the Bay Area community Talmud circles, of which Nadine and Ron are part of. In the new, I guess, eventually be part of the New Koran series. So this is Rabbi Ishmael, the son of Rabbi Yossi, and he was a Tana of the 3rd century, of the 6th generation, so like 170 to 200. Rabbi Ishmael is, as a son of Rabbi Yossi, actually served the Roman provisional government. This is after the revolt period. He was not a quisling. He was not a traitor, nor was he any kind of collaborator. But he had a position kind of in between the Roman world and the Jewish world. It's a very tenuous position. Yet he appears many times in the Talmud with Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon. This Rabbi Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, was the son and student of Shimon Bar Yochai. So this is his post-cave period, if you know anything about his biography. So they are both, Rabbi Ishmael and Rabbi Elazar, students of Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai, who himself was a student of Rabbi Akiba, Gamliel II of Yavna, and Rabbi Tarfon. So those of you who have read Pirkei Avot, Akiva and Tarfon appear in those texts, and their student is Rabbi Yehuda Bar Ilai, and his students are Rabbi Ishmael, the son of Yossi, and Rabbi Elazar, the son of Shimon. So we're in that 6th generation of the rabbis in the land of Israel. And now we get into our story, and here comes our Roman matron. Since these sages, and this is, by the way, those of you familiar with the Steinsaltz English translation, the light print is the editors and redactors of the Steinsaltz Koran Talmud, and the dark print, oh my god, where Lily is pointing it out, the dark print is a somewhat literal translation based on commentary. There's no such thing as a perfect translation. There's just close. So it says, since these sages were mentioned in similar situations that happened to them, we got more. Here's more stories. When Rabbi Yishmael, the son of Rabbi Yossi, and Elazar, the son of Rabbi Shimon, would happen to come together. This is happening to come together in a very close and intimate way. A pair of oxen would be able to go between them, under their bellies, and it would not touch them. There is really no need to draw this on a chart. This should be a very clear image of two rather large men coming tummy to tummy in such a way that an ox could actually go between them and not touch them. And as Rabbi Steinsaltz writes, for they were very fat. Just in case we missed it. One Roman matron, and here the text uses actually the Zohar term, the matronita, said to them, your children are not yours. And we continue, for because of the size of your bellies, certainly you could not have relations with your wives. In other words, to be perfectly clear, you could not copulate at your size. There's just no way. No way. They said to her, and I like to imagine this somewhat like, well, in unison. Theirs, the bellies of our wives, are greater than ours. This, I remind my younger students, are things you should never say. To anyone, about anyone. But the Talmud is free with this right now, because there are no dirty parts in the Talmud. The Talmud is unvarnished and unwashed, and the body. And here we get to the body, since everything is made by God, sex was made by God, the body was made by God. There's no dirty parts. There are silly parts, but there are no dirty parts. They say they're bigger than we are. All the more so, the matter is impossible. As she says, some say, they said to her, for like a man in his strength. When the rare times we actually quote judges to each other, meaning all our body parts are grown like the size of our bellies. And there's other parts of the Talmud, basically, if you think our bellies are large, you should see our phalluses. They're just as large. I don't recommend, by the way, teaching this text to younger children. I just keep it between us right now. Some say that thus they said to her, love presses the flesh. And they ask, why would they answer her in such a brazen, stupid... Why would they even bother answering her? Why? Well, because they want to, obviously. And behold, it is said, do not answer a fool in his stupidity, lest you become equal to him yourself. The fact that they answered her is order not to give out a bad name for their children. In other words, another voice in the Talmud says they respond to her because they don't want the children to be called bastards. All right. So we need to move down a little bit, but I don't think that's the reason at all. I think the reason is that one beautiful line that basically, we need the English back. Here it comes. Oh, we're close. We're close. There we go. And then here's the Talmud saying more that how big their limbs were and how big their parts were. It goes on like that for a little bit, but it's that one beautiful line that comes just before. Maybe we can just get a little. If we can go back just a little bit, just 1 inch. There we go. No, one more back. There we go. Let's see if we can find it again. Oh, I've lost entirely here. Oh, love presses the flesh. Right there it is. Some say, and thus they said to her, love presses the flesh. That the desire brings together impossible components, the least likely of things. Please note, they're referring to their partners. They're not referring to just random people on the street. They're talking about love. Love conquers all, even themselves. That physical size is not the determination of desire. All right, now we can continue a little ways down. Actually, before we even continue, does anyone, if anyone wants to tweet a question, or Ron or Nadine, do you have any responses to this first move to the Roman matron?
One of the questions I have is, I'm not necessarily seeing exactly where that interpretation comes from, that desire meets all needs. Where, what am I missing?
I mean, love presses the flesh?
Right.
I think the word love.
As opposed to just passion or something like that.
Well, passion, but it overwhelms the flesh. In other words, technically speaking, these people cannot have sex. They just are too large. And desire overwhelms. Yeah, that's as far as I can see right there, unless Ron has an opinion otherwise or the same. Okay, good. All right. So Lily, take us down a little bit. We have to start at the bottom of the page. All right, and then this is Rabbi Yochanan, and here he comes. So we're going to be doing a little sliding around because we have one paragraph here, then we're going to go up to the to more of the story. This is Rabbi Yochanan ben Naphtha, who was a Mora of the second generation of the Amoraim, active in the land of Israel, around 250 to 290 of the Common Era. He's a student of Yehuda HaNasi. So we move from Yavna, near Jerusalem, to Usha, which is north, to Sipori, which is a Greco-Roman Jewish town high in the Galil. If you've ever been there, the archaeological evidence of the pluralism, diversity of this place is really astonishing and beautiful. Some say it's called Sipori because the birds migrate through there, and indeed they do. You know that Rabbi Yehuda HaNasi is the redactor of his Mishnah, the primary Mishnah for our Talmud. Not the only Mishnah, but the Mishnah of Yehuda HaNasi. And some say he went to Sipori for his health. It's a very clear error. Rabbi Yochanan takes over the academy there in Sipori. There's a great story that one day he has many teachers. One of his former teacher, Rabbi Hanina, noticed large crowds heading towards one place, and he said, "Where's everyone going?" And they say, "Rabbi Yochanan is going to give a talk." And Rabbi Hanina, in his humility, says, "Thank God that one of my seeds bore such fruit." Intellectually, he was happy for his student. There's another tale that Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Hanina disagreed on some halacha, and Rabbi Yochanan, not to get into a dispute with his teacher, moved to Tiberia. So if you want to imagine that we're really, really close to the Jordan, we're very close to the Banyas, we're close to water, and of course we're close to the Kinneret. We're all the north of Israel. After his death, by the way, Rabbi Yochanan is succeeded by Rabbi Elazar ben Padat at the Tiberias school. So that's his short biography, very short. But here's his story. Rabbi Yochanan said, "I am all that's left of the beautiful of Yerushalayim. One who wishes to see what's the beauty of Rabbi Yochanan, let him bring a cup of silver from the house of the smith," basically of a jeweler, "and when it's new and the silver is brightest," oh my goodness, Lily's right with us, fill it with the seeds of a red pomegranate. So you've got a silver goblet, shining and beautiful, and it's going to be filled with the seeds of a red pomegranate. I don't know how much more erotic symbolism we can put into one text. And let him place a bough of red roses on his lip. Okay, we have more erotic symbolism. And let him stand there between the sun and the shade. That shining, that this image is like the beauty of Rabbi Yochanan. And they ask, is it so that Rabbi Yochanan was so beautiful? And behold, the sage said, the beauty of Rav Kahana was like the beauty of Rabbi Abahu. The beauty of Rabbi Abahu was like the beauty of his father Yaakov. The beauty of our father Yaakov was like the beauty of the first Adam. This is a passage that my teacher of blessed memory, Rabbi Dr. Eugene Mahali, would say, we should start laughing now. This is the rabbis having fun. They're having fun with male images of beauty and exaggeration, which is, of course, so much part of the Greco-Roman world. On the other hand, Rabbi Yochanan did not list on this list, implying he was not as beautiful as them. A little humility. Rabbi Yochanan is different, for splendor of the face he did not have. Well, okay. Now, here we go. I have to give a little provision here. And Lily, we need to scale. We have to scroll down just a few more inches. There we go. Okay. So I am sure that many people listening to listening to 24 by 24, the courtesy right here, hosted by the Olive Society of Rabbi Dean Steinsaltz, that we've had some unfortunate incidents in the Jewish community, again, of rabbis either sitting in saunas with their students, male students, or a rabbi violating privacy, trust, and peering in women in the mikvah. So we have to acknowledge that the coming scene is borderline, but not those cases. It's a comic scene. Those cases are criminal scenes. This case is a comic scene. One might not like it, but it's not meant to offend. So I hope that no one's offended. I certainly hope that no one has a triggered memory that is hard for them. So let's put this in its comic sense. Rabbi Yochanan would sit at the gates of a mikveh, of immersion. The gates, which means outside. So I want you to imagine him in a lounge chair at the exit of the mikveh. When Jewish women come up from the immersion of mikveh, fully clothed, I'd like to point out, they should meet me first. In order, they should have beautiful children like me and learners of Torah like me. For it was held by them that the picture that is carved in the heart of the woman at the time of relations influences the images of her children. That's the Steinsaltz commentary, by the way. I'll just go with the Gemara right here. Basically, they should be thinking of me, but what part of me they should be thinking of? This is the interesting, crazy move. They should be as pretty as me, but they should have as much Torah love as I have. And this is the crazy move. There should be desire, but the desire should be balanced between the physicality and meaning. This is the rabbinic idea of beauty. Beauty is the combination of the attractive and Torah. Anyone can be pretty, just the right set of genes helps, or good health and exercise, or both. But beauty is the combination of attractiveness, being pretty, pleasing to the eye, and Torah. Now, when I say Torah, I don't mean halacha purely. I mean Torah in its biggest sense. God created a beautiful world. The Zohar even posits that we're in God Eden right now, and we've just forgotten. But God also gives us Torah. The combination of the two is beauty. The sages said to him, "And is my master not afraid of the evil eye?" So there's some honest admonishment. And he said to them, "From the seed of Joseph I come." Now that's the point here. That's why I gave you that earlier story of Joseph resisting Potiphar, and the Midrash deals with it. Of course, the Zohar deals with it. Okay, I'm making a shameless plug for the Lehrhaus Zohar study program, but what can I do? Anyhow, I'm from the seed of Joseph I came, which the evil eye does not rule. In other words, I am not succumbing to desire. I just know that I'm good looking. I want them to look at me and have beautiful children who learn Torah. By the way, I know any of you who are watching this program right now are in fact, beautiful people filled with Torah. Why else would you be here? For it's written, a son of beauty is Yosef, a son of beauty to the eye. Rabbi Abba, who said, in explanation of the verse, do not read to the eye, rather over the eye. So this is restraint in this case. All right, we'll take a breather for a moment. We got to the dangerous place of an encounter outside the mikvah. Does anyone have, Nadine or Ron or anyone online have a question? If you can reach us with Twitter, hashtag 24x24. Any questions from my students? Hello? Ron.
Yes.
Do you have a question? Comment. Okay.
I do. I have a question. So the reference to beauty and knowledge of Torah, the combination physical beauty and Torah, the knowledge of, refers only to the men at this point, correct? I don't know if you heard me.
I did hear you. I'm thinking.
Oh, okay.
I'm a slow thinker. No, there's also Rahab and Midrashim on Esther and others. But you're right. In this case, by this time in the Gemara, we're in a very much a Persian document in that way, and so this is an academy text.
Okay.
So you were right about that. I think this is where if I could bring Judith Abrams in from the world to come, I would ask her directly, or Aviva Zornberg. This is really an Aviva Zornberg territory in so many ways. Not just because they're women; they're just much brighter than I am. But I think that in this case, they're making fun of the male image. So they're also in competition with the Greco-Roman world, which is primarily the gymnasia, and they're in the marketplace of ideas, and they're making a counter move, saying, yes, it's really great to go to the gym. It's a good thing. You should go to the gym, and you should go to the academy. All right, we have a question online about the mikvah and the notion of being more beautiful or desirable for participating in a ritual. So possibly this scene is set on Friday afternoon in Sipori, and women coming out of the mikvah will probably participate with their partners in the mitzvah of sexual intercourse on Shabbat. And so he is positioning himself like, now this is what's key, instead of being a statue, like a statue of Aphrodite or a statue of Adonis, he is basically posing as a decoration, as a illumination, but he's a living person with Torah. So I hope that answers the question somewhat. All right, now we have to go to Reish Lakish. It's probably time. All right, it's the next We're going to be going through some Steinsalt's text. There's Baba Metzia flying by. Here we go. Now, there we go. Perfect, perfect. All right. Now this is where it gets really complicated and fun and tragic all at the same time. It's all about desire. Some may call this episode Beauty and the Beast. Others have observed that there's the colonized, that would be Reish Lakish, and the colonizer, that would be Rabbi Yochanan. And the difficulty of what happens when the colonizer violates the trust of the colonized, and when the colonized does not quite live up to the image of the colonizer. So we have to introduce our Reish Lakish. Reish Lakish, Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, has many Aggadic stories attributed describing him. He's described as a very large man. Here we go again. I must confess there might be some autobiographical. There just might be something about 6'4", larger rabbis I'm attracted to right now in my life. I don't know why. What do I know? But Reish Lakish was strong, very, very strong, very, very large. Not quite so large that an oxen could pass under his belly, but very large. He was accustomed, according to Gittin, to sleeping on the hard ground because he would say, "My fat is my cushion." So he was a large man of strength and girth. He's also attributed to being a gladiator. He also hunted cannibals, which brings up a number of questions. But he was a gladiator, he hunted cannibals, he wrestled large animals, and according to other sources, Reish Lakish lived for a time in the wilderness and made his living as a bandit. So this is the portrait we get of Reish Lakish, and they tell another story about Rabbi Yochanan. Now remember, our theme here is about desire. It's a good thing. One day, Rabbi Yochanan was swimming in the Jordan. This is when the Jordan had water. Trying to imagine that. Reish Lakish saw him and jumped in the Jordan after him. He said to him, this is Rabbi Yochanan the Reish Lakish, who's seeing this very large man swimming at him. Now remember, he's supposed to be very pretty, and there's this very large man swimming after him, not trying to rescue him. This is the implication. He said, "Your strength should be for Torah." Reish Lakish said, "Your beauty for women." Now the commentators go both ways on this. Some say, oh, it means that women will be attracted to you. Others saying, no, you look like a woman to me. You should have been a woman. I'm really upset, if not confused. So here's the stalemate. He sees, Rabbi Yochanan sees a very large man and says, "Stop! Your strength should be for Torah." Reish Lakish says, "What? You should have been a woman." Here's the move. Rabbi Yochanan says, if you go back, it means tshuva, and return to Torah, I'll give you my sister, who is more beautiful than me. All right, not a great text for sisters, not a great text for men and women in families. Okay, we'll just acknowledge that. Reish Lakish took on himself to do so. He wanted to go back. Now, this is very strange. It says either he wanted to go back, he wanted to do tshuva, or he wanted literally to go back, like where he came from. But he could not. And then there's commentators say because he was weakened, or because Torah took it out of him. But there's also a way of looking at it, that this is the colonizing view. This is the colonizer, Rabbi Yochanan, taking this man and, in a sense, taking from him his own indigenous strength, which had been working for him, and turning him into something else. Later, this will be portrayed as Pygmalion, but it's a whole different story. Rabbi Yochanan taught him Torah and Mishnah and made him into a great person. So this is a combination, again, of lessened strength and greater Torah. And then here's where things quickly fall apart. One day they were arguing in the house of learning about a problem. And this is about a sword and a knife and the dagger and the spear. And to just get to the point of it all, it's when they can enter ritual impurity. So technically speaking, in the academy, Reish Lakish is in the first row. This is by legend. He is the questioner. He is the best person to ask Rabbi Yochanan hard questions about halakha. And the question here is, when does a metal object reach its point of impurity or become liable for impurity? And they get into an argument. And what's powerful here is that it deals with weapons in water. And if you remember where they first met, they meet in water. Rabbi Yochanan says from when it's and when is the end of their making? In other words, when do they get any kind of impurity? And he says at the end. And Rabbi Yochanan says from when he forms in the fire. So it's not when it's cured, it goes in the water, but when it's being formed. So it's fun here is that Rabbi Yochanan says actually it's when they're being forged, it's when they become impure. Reish Lakish says no, it's actually when they're cured, when they go into the water. What should have happened now is a discussion, but instead, Rabbi Yochanan, knowing his full biography, says a robber in matters of robbery knows. In other words, oh, I know why you know when a weapon becomes pure or impure, because you were once a bandit. This is desire gone bad. This is revealing, like only lovers can, secrets of the other. And Reish Lakish says, after being insulted, why did you help me? Why did you bring me closer to Torah? Why did you bother? You can see the whole, yeah, there we go. We're getting the whole story here. Why did you help me to only to humiliate me at this point? There, amongst the robbers, I was a rabbi. I was the best robber there was. And here, they call me rabbi because I'm the best student. He said to him, it helped you that I brought you close under the wings of Shekhinah. In other words, Rabbi Yochanan, but I brought you closer. See, you should be grateful. And then during this, Rabbi Yochanan's mind was weakened, and he was hurt and insulted, and his hurt and upset had an effect on Reish Lakish, and Reish Lakish becomes ill. Rabbi Yochanan's sister, here she comes, almost like the Roman matron. She comes in to figure out what these men are doing. And she says, look, you guys got to take care of this. You're my brother, but he's my husband, and he's the father of my children. And then, in the worst example of rabbinic counseling, Rabbi Yochanan simply quotes to her, leave your orphans and I'll give them life, from Jeremiah. Leave your orphans, I'll give them life. I'll take care of them. She says, I'm going to become a widow. And then he continues quoting Jeremiah, and your widowness trusts me. In other words, I'll take care of you too. This is really cold comfort. Actually, it's quite horrible. In the end, the soul of Reish Lakish rested. He died. And Rabbi Yochanan was upset over him very much. And the sages say, who will go and settle his mind, that he shouldn't be so upset? And here comes Eliezer ben Padat, his eventual successor. We'll send him, we'll send Rabbi Eliezer for his halakha, very sharp, and he can be kind of a replacement for Reish Lakish. He went and sat before Rabbi Yochanan, and everything Rabbi Yochanan would say, Eliezer would say, yeah, there's a baraita that supports you. And then Rabbi Yochanan said to him, are you like the son of Lakish? You can take his place. The son of Lakish, when I would say something, he would bring on 24 difficulties. I would explain to him 24 explanations, and out of this, the halakha would have space. And then he perishes too, crying out, where are you, Lakisha? Where are you, Lakisha? His mind was taken from him, and he died. So in these tales of love and passion, of physicality and Torah, in the first one, love presses the flesh. It brings together impossible figures who defeat physicality and still have the mitzvah of being fruitful and multiplying. In the second, comic and tragic, Rabbi Yochanan and Reish Lakish are dynamic characters, erotic characters, attracted to each other, and then torn apart by, as only lovers can do, saying the thing that only a lover could know and hurting the most. Ultimately, though, what I find beautiful about these texts is the fact that the body is not a bad place to go, and desire can compel us or empower us to do great learning, great accomplishments, if balanced by wisdom. Comments here from Nadine or Ron.
The only comment I guess I have, since I'm just starting to begin to study Zohar, is the whole idea of power and love in finding the balance. That's where I see similarity in this, what you've been talking about.
Yes, balance. I think it's a key move in the Sfirot. Is about a balance, trying to balance mind and body, strength, endurance. Right. That study would be very, especially the sections by Gash with Joseph and Potiphar's wife, trying to create balance, or at least find balance, find a middle path. And previous to that, in the Rambam.
Mm-hmm.
Ron, do you have any thoughts there?
I'm confused about why Rabbi Yochanan seems to be the aggrieved party. It seems like Reish Lakish has much more reason to be upset about what Rabbi Yochanan has said about him or to him. And I know it's an intimate relationship where, and who can understand it from outside? But still, what's Rabbi Yochanan's beef?
So it could be that Reish Lakish, who takes umbrage, he takes insult when Yochanan insults him, trumps Rabbi Yochanan by saying, you didn't really make me a great person. I was great before. I was a great robber. And now I'm a great student. But it's not as if you made me great. Now that's right in the audience. This isn't a public setting. So that's my only first thought of Rabbi Yochanan, in a sense, becoming an ugly person. Because he didn't quite completely, he took credit. See, maybe that's the move. He took credit for bringing Reish Lakish around, instead of giving Torah the credit, not to mention his wife, his sister. Is that helpful?
Yes.
All right, there's a question coming in. Oh my goodness, there's a question coming in. What does this tell us about non-physical desires? I think desire is the key word. Like gravity, it's a compulsive force, and there's physical desire, which is both invisible, but there's a body attached to it. So it's I don't know what it says about non-physical desire. I guess altruistic desire, the wanting to save someone, the wanting to be kind to someone, is for the altruistic personality also compulsive. It's why people rescued others during the Holocaust, because they had to. They had to preserve their own souls. And many rescuers say, I'm no hero, I just did what I had to do. That may be a non-physical desire. Those of us who love teaching Torah, maybe there's a little bit of physicality to it and a little bit of altruistic, non-physical desire. Someone wrote, so is desire a reflection of one's perception of self? Beauty in the eye of the beholder, but ugliness in the eye of the crowd. Wow. So here I'd have to recommend a reading called The Fat Rabbis by Daniel Boyarin, because ethos, pathos, and eros are all at play here, and he handles it with greater alacrity and depth of knowledge than I can. But I think whoever wrote this is onto something, that this is in the Greco-Roman period. This is not a biblical story, and there is a combination, and then it's in the Gemara. There is a interplay between ethos, pathos, and eros, between behavior, compassion, and desire. I think they're all in play at this time. And what is the interior comes out to the exterior, and then when the interior is flawed, that comes out too. It all comes out. All right. So I think we're pretty much at our time. And unless I want to thank Nadine and Ron for sharing this time with me, I want to thank Lily for making it technically possible for this all to happen. And more, I want to thank everyone at the Aleph Society and Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz for making the study of Talmud all the more beautiful by making it all the more accessible. So thank you all very much, and I think we're good for tonight. Shavua Tov.
Shavua Tov.
Of course.